Hello, I'm Andrew Eli, and I'm the project manager for Draggin Eggs. Draggin Eggs is a game that takes place in a magical nursery where players are sorting various eggs. That could be dinosaurs or dragon eggs. Part of the gameplay involves sorting these eggs into these baskets and then moving them over into these incubators. And the eggs have various traits, and the eggs need to be sorted based on those traits. The specific mechanics of the game were actually inspired by the basic concept from Lisa and Matt, our clients, and their basic idea was a game that revolved around educational sort of approach to classification of various objects in terms of like machines and how they like classify various objects, like sorting algorithms, machine learning, that sort of thing. And the approach that we took was to bake those concepts into the game mechanics. So as the players engage with those mechanics, without even realizing it, they're learning about these various concepts. And yeah. I'd like to introduce the design team.
My name is Tallulah Allen. I use she, her pronouns. I was the designer for the Draggin Eggs team. I'm attending the University of Baltimore for my bachelor's in simulation and game design, which I expect to graduate for sometime in 2025, who's to say. My favorite birds are the eastern bluebird, killdeer, and Allen's hummingbird, which I am required to like by law because that's my last name. I like birds.
All right. Hello, I'm Jupiter. I use any pronouns. I'm the lead artist. I'm part of the UCSD Software Quality Assurance Program, and I'm a self-taught freelance artist. My favorite bird is mine. His name is Sparky, and he's a Gende conure.
So we had a few different inspirations for the game. The primary art style inspirations were two games called A Little to the Left and Neko Atsume, both of which we were more interested in the cozy vibes they had. We were inspired by that, but we didn't want to lean too heavily on it. So we also focused on inspiration from two other games, Space Chem and Factorio, for gameplay functions like sorting and other automation structures.
All right, so in terms of art style, we went with a more trimetric perspective. It helps with depth and spatial awareness. It helps you kind of see the difference between the objects and game world. It also gives you some kind of pseudo 3D view. You need to have like a unique and visually appealing, like dynamic and engaging art style. It's going to be the very first thing you see, so you want it to kind of hook in the player, and you want it to kind of give off the vibe of the whole game. So you want clear visualization of your elements, like terrain, building, characters. Trimetric perspective is particularly used in RPG and strategy games because it kind of helps you, see what's going on, and it helps you to kind of see everything without having to like change the angle and camera view and all that. So it's the first thing seen. It needs to grab your attention. You need a distinctive art style. It helps you stand out, especially in the current game market. A lot of games like Hollow Knight and maybe Borderlands, their art is, as iconic as the play style is. It also helps you reflect a creative vision of the devs in the game narrative, what we saw the game, what it could be as. It also helps enhance the narrative. It helps convey themes, and it has you kind of build a connection with the characters. And it's also very easy to replicate art style, especially at a time frame that we have. You need something that can be done quickly and over again.
As the designer, I also focused on UI, which is user interface, and dialogue. Speaking of the cohesive and consistent art style nature, the UI also had to be consistent and match with the rest of the game and its general vibes. If UI doesn't match with the art style or just general feeling of the game, it can be very jarring. And can detract from the game, but UI can also add to the game outside of just being how the user interfaces with it, because we can have fun designs that are non-traditional, like a chicken coop for a select screen. I don't think this got put into the game, but it was something that I had a lot of fun coming up with and added a lot, I think, to the creation process. Oh, yes, that's still me. I also was in charge of creature creation. The 3 creatures in the game are chickens, dinosaurs, and dragons. The chickens were our stand-in for automation because we didn't want to rely on machinery for a sorting algorithm thing because we didn't think it really fit with our magical nursery. And we thought it would be really funny if there were these magical creatures called chickens in this fantasy world that come from a wormhole in some strange pocket dimension where they must be the most intelligent form of life, we think. And they each sort by one specific trait. And they do make mistakes, though, which can help the player learn about things like false positives and false negatives. For the dinosaurs and dragons, those are both things that the player can hatch/gain as rewards. The dinosaurs I tried to keep all like feathered and avian and based off of real dinosaurs that we actually know the colors of based on like imaging, which is very interesting. But and for the dragons, I focused mainly on historical inspirations from different regions and combined them with real animals. For that, I had a lot of fun with that as well. Here's some of the concept art for the dragons. There's a pangolin seahorse dragon, an oarfish naga, and a frilled lizard dragon. Had a lot of fun implementing things that I was already interested in into those dragons. And I think they add to the game a lot. I would like to introduce to you the tech team.
Hello, my name is Annie Agwai Shide, and I'm both the programmer and sound designer of this team. My major is the Military Computing and the Arts major music, which is basically music technology, and I'm also minoring in CS. And I would say my favorite bird is a crow tit because it looks like a very cute snowball.
All right, my name is Harry. I am the programmer, one of the programmers on this team. I am an incoming junior studying computer science at the Oregon State University's Honors College, and my favorite bird is a parrot.
Okay, so I programmed the conveyor belt and I have it like model after the binary tree. So basically, the eggs like basically spawn like at the beginning of the conveyor belt, known as the root, and then the chicken are placed at the location where the 2 intersections of the conveyor meets, called the subroot. And once the chicken are placed there, is where they determine which direction the egg goes in. And then the basket are placed at the end of the conveyor belt, known as a leaf, and that is where the eggs will drop in. And I have like a little clip to show you how that works. All right, wait. Oh, never mind. Oh, well, you'll see how it works like in the gameplay. All right. Okay. Oh, never mind. Okay, you'll see it. All right, it'll center. Okay. Like give it a few moments. Oh, see. Oh, okay. All right, that's it. All right. So for the chicken, I programmed the chicken to have like 2 functions. One of them is the randomization function. So it had these like following parameters. One of them, it like checks if the egg matches its trait. And then 2, it decides like whether the egg should turn. And then 3rd, it have like a percentage that represent like how often it can make a mistake. And then the second function I program it to have is for the chicken to snap like onto the stool, which are placed at the subroots. And then I also like program the basket and incubators. So once the egg drops into the basket like collects this info and then stores it. And then inside the incubator UI, there's like these 2 buttons that represent like the incubator. So once the player presses on those buttons, it will like send those eggs to those incubators. So once the eggs are sent to those incubators, the incubators like determines like the score. So let's say, for example, if the eggs like matches the trait the incubator have, the player earns a point. But if it doesn't match, then you don't earn a point at all. Okay, so since I like program like many system that have like different data, it came out with a way to manage all that at once. So first I made like a flowchart for every level. So at the start, you will see like the objective, both the mandatory and optional. And then it shows a dialogue, which contains like information about the level, including about the eggs and the chicken. And then at the end of each dialogue, it prompts the player to like start the gameplay. So during the gameplay, this is where you sort the eggs. And then the gameplay ends once all the eggs are inside the incubator. So once the eggs are all inside the incubator, the score will pop up and it determines if the player, fulfills the objective or not.
All right, so I designed a lot of the UI for the game. So the first one is the pause menu. So the pause menu only works with the player press P or the pause button, and the pause menu can be activated when the game is in progress. So when the player is at the very beginning of the game looking at the objectives, which I'll talk about later, you can't pause the game, and at the end you can't pause the game. So you can only do it while the game is in progress. And when the game is paused, you can't drag the eggs or the chickens. So everything stays still. All right, so the objectives menu is another thing that I did. So it is first shown at the very beginning. The player will be given an required and one optional objective. And for the required objectives, if you finish that, you'll get a dinosaur. And for the optional objective, if you finish that, you'll get a dragon in the end. And the level doesn't begin until the begin level button is clicked. And during gameplay, the player can look at the objectives at the top right hand of the screen, just in case if they forget them, so they can look at them for reference and know what they're doing. Another thing that I did is the results menu. So the results menu is only shown after the level is finished, and the player finishes the level by dragging all of the eggs into the incubator. And it displays how many total eggs are sorted correctly, and as well as the percentage that you got. And it also displays for the grid, it shows each incubator as well as how many eggs are sorted correctly and incorrectly in each incubator. And if you finish the required objective, then you can go on to the next level. Otherwise, you have to retry the level, and you unlock levels. So at the beginning, only the first level is playable, and then eventually, as you finish the required objectives, you can go on to the next levels. So then this is the main menu. So the main menu allows the player to play into the game. So at first, when the player plays the game, only the first level is unlocked. And then if the player finishes at least one level, then once you click the play button, you can choose which level you want to go to. There's also, you can look at the controls and learn how to play. And there's also the credits option. You can also change the settings to from the main menu. You can either enable or disable the music and the sound effects. You can also do that from the pause menu as well. And the background is a sprite that was designed by that was created by the designers. And all options, basically, like the play button all the way down to credits, as well as the settings, they're interactable buttons, so you can click them and it will go to the desired scene.
Okay, now finally time to introduce myself. I'm Andrew Eli. My pronouns are he, him. I am the project manager for Draggin Eggs. Before I was project manager, I worked at a place called the National Foundation for Autism Research. I was a tech cohort there. And my favorite bird is the American pekin, because I had a stuffed animal version of one as a kid, a little duckling. As for we mentioned before, we use Jira to manage the projects. I was more used to Jira because of my time at NFAR, and so we were able to coordinate pretty much every single aspect of the production of this game through Jira. Individual tasks were assigned epics and sprints. Epics for what part of the game was being made, and the sprints are for specific features that we wanted implemented. Say, get the conveyor belt up and running, or have a single playable level that is playable from start to finish. This amount of coordination, along with prioritizing certain things as high, normal, or low priority, allowed us to have a playable level by week 6, which is something I hoped we would be able to do, but we absolutely surpassed my wildest expectations in terms of how quickly we were able to come together and build this game. Everything after that was just polishing work. Something to know about the epics is that because they're tied to whole sections of the game, certain things had to be done before other things. And so I created this little chart to help the development in terms of what we had to focus on specifically in order to move on further. So starting with tree space, that was our internal name for our conveyor belt binary tree layout. Once we got that up and running, we could have eggs moving along them. We could have chickens placed at the subroots. We could have baskets placed at the leaf. And there we could actually move on to the actual process of sorting eggs, to determining what counts as a win condition. And then we could move on to content. And because we had a more generalized approach to structuring all our assets and our code, we were able to decouple a lot of the gameplay logic from the levels themselves, meaning that we can create like whole levels in a matter of hours. If we had one more week, I think we would be able to get to 10 levels. We'd like to thank our various coaches, friends and family for putting up with us, our clients for providing the basic kernel of the basic seed of the idea that grew into the wonderful tree that is this game. And we'd also like to thank the Video Game Development Club for providing assistance in certain parts of this game's code. Thank you. Any questions? Any questions? Yes.
Would you ever consider making a level design for players where they could design their own levels with like building blocks?
It certainly.
That's the initial idea.
Yeah. Yeah. We were thinking about a simple way of loading in text files that defined objectives, what eggs come down through the conveyor, and also the dialogue that also happens. And because those three are the only things that define the level, we could keep the conveyor belt the same. We could keep the basic thing the same. Ultimately,
We did consider letting the player choose which way the conveyor belts go, but at the time we thought it would cause too much complication and too many things to prevent the player from doing to get it done in a timely manner.
that's true. The ability for the player to place the conveyor belt, that was an idea that was, I think, scrapped around week 4 because we thought that it wasn't really something that was that important, because considering that a chicken has an egg going one way and then it can go one of two ways, that layout is going to be a binary tree regardless of however the player puts the conveyor belts anyway. So we thought that having the same conveyor belt layout would just make things simpler from every angle. Any more questions?
Who was doing the testing and how did you guys keep track of the bugs and bug fixes?
We had playtesting sessions at the Lunch and Learns, and with other teams from the other teams were playtesting our games, and we were playtesting their games at the same time.
Thank you very much. That was a wonderful presentation from all of you.
Thank you.
Just as a curiosity, did you guys put any surprises or Easter eggs in the program?
Yes,
golden
in fact, my voice is actually in this game. I'll give a single hint as to where I am. That's it. That's all it is I'm giving you.
I love it. Thank you very much.
Anyone? Yeah. Also, all the chicken sounds.
And our chicken sonas.
And our chicken sonas. Okay, anyone else? Any other questions?
Over there.
Yeah, great presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
What was the most difficult issue that you guys crossed, and how did you solve it?
They pretty much all had to do with communication. There's a quote that I love. I forgot who said it, but it's like the central problem to all communication is the belief that it has somehow been settled. That misunderstandings come from when you think you understand something, and that resulted in the conveyor belt sort of player placing thing, because I thought that was going to be how it was, but and ultimately we both came to the conclusion that actually placing conveyor belts is a dumb idea, and I was the Look, it was my idea. I can say that it was dumb.
It was not dumb. It was not a dumb idea. It was just not feasible in our time frame, and we communicated effectively after that and learned better ways to do it.
Yes, we agree. That's true.